Hello, everybody. Tonight is finally here. I am really excited. I'm excited that you all are here. I'm excited that you all decided to join me on this in this masterclass, this journey of navigating necessary U-turns in your life. So get ready to buckle up your seatbelts and let's embrace change in order for us to develop some more growth in our lives. Y'all ready? I'm excited. I'm excited. So let me share my screen with you all. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Y'all, I see some faces that I recognize and some that I don't recognize. So for the ones that I've never seen before, thank you again for showing up for you. But also, I'm Dr. Anetta, your transition advisor. I help women get the most out of every season of their lives without compromising their values, their vision, or their voices. So again, thank you. All right, let's jump right in tonight, y'all. I hope y'all excited. If you hear something that I say that makes you feel really good, makes you want to say, shout, go ahead and put something in the chat. Put some kind of emoji in the chat. Put a heart or something in the chat. Let me know that you love what I'm saying tonight. All right. All right, so let's just jump into what is this all about? What is this navigating necessary U turns all about? Well, navigating necessary U turns in life is about you. It's not about your mom, it's not about your dad, it's not about anybody else but you. That's our starting place for tonight. And I want everybody to get in the mindset of this is about you. Okay. So if you know that your spirit has been unsettled for a little bit, you know that a shift feels like it needs to take place somewhere in your life. If you can't go another day, another week, another month in the same space that you're in tonight, I want you to go ahead and embrace that this is a necessary U-turn right now in my life that has to be made by nobody but me. So as you can see here, it says navigating necessary U-turns in life is about you. But we want to start off understanding that we got to get in the driver's seat. Why do we have to get in the driver's seat? Because sometimes in life, life is driving our car. Our parents may be driving our car. Your spouse, work, situations are driving your car of life. And you got to take back the control and get yourself back into the driver's seat. So that's where we want to start with. And ask yourself, am I in my driver's seat? You could be in your driver's seat, but this is just a place in life that you need to say, we need to redirect. There's some changes that need to be made right here. So sometimes we have those what we have going on are those driverless cars. Life is just taking us everywhere without our own, we're not even giving any input to where we're going. And so I'm just asking you tonight, just stop and think about who is driving my car of life. And I need to get back into that driver's seat. After you've gotten into the driver's seat, I want you to take the steering wheel and you're going to have to take that steering wheel by force. You know why you got to take that steering wheel by force? Because sometimes we've been steering in the wrong direction for so long that it's stuck. It's like getting stuck in a ditch and it's icy weather outside. So I want you to take it by force and understand that, hey, I got to get this ball rolling in a different direction. It could be in your health, it could be just in your mindset, your emotions, wherever the U-turn is tonight that needs to be made. Know that number one, I got to get in the driver's seat. Now I'm taking that steering wheel and I'm going to press the gas. Pressing the gas lets you know that I have made the decision to say that I'm moving forward in making the necessary steps that are required to get me to where I need to be. And I'm not waiting any longer. And last, what I need you to do is Make the full U-turn. You know how sometimes we'll look back, you hear the story of Lot's wife looking back and turning into a pillar of salt. I don't want any of you to look back tonight. I want you to recognize and understand that a necessary U-turn has to be made. But I also want to know that I don't want to get stuck at the beginning of that U-turn, at knowing, yeah, I do need to make some changes. Yeah, I do need to redirect. Or even in the middle of the turn, I don't want you to say, man, this was harder than what I thought. I need to just go back. No, I want you to make the full U-turn. And you know why? Because you need it in order for you to grow. So, look, the feelings that we feel when we are stuck, you know those feelings. Sometimes you feel frustrated. You know, it's like, hey, I need to grow. I need to get more out of life than what I'm doing right now. So, in order for you to make the necessary U turns, you got to make those decisions. And when you make those decisions, you're going to start to see that you are growing. And once you start to see that growth, what's going to happen? You're going to start to seize opportunities that you never seized before. You would have let those opportunities pass you by in the past, but not today, because we're making those necessary U-turns that's going to allow us to take on those opportunities and to enjoy them. And then you're going to be able to align with your values and your goals. And I know that's important to all of us. How many of you have said to yourself, man, why am I doing this? Why did I commit myself to doing this when none of this really aligns with who I am or where I'm trying to get to? And you may have done it at your job. You may have done it, in a relationship, overcommitted yourself when you weren't getting anything out of the deal because it didn't align with your values and your goals. Maybe that's the place where you need to make the necessary U-turn. But hey, it's all about putting yourself in that position to know that it's time. And lastly, you're going to be able to embrace a more fulfilling and purpose driven life. And who doesn't want that? I see already y'all putting hearts in the chat. Thank you for your participation. Thank you so much. So let's just recap the whole thing right now. This introduction to navigating necessary U turns. Where do you need to be? What was the first thing I said? You need to decide, is somebody driving my car? Am I in a driverless Tesla right now? And life is just taking me and my circumstances taking me and whoever else is just taking me wherever they're taking me. Get yourself in the driver's seat. What was the second step that we needed to do? You need to take that steering wheel. You don't have to take it by force, right? You got to take that steering wheel by force. And I want to just pause right here and speak to the fear that sometimes it tries to rear its head when we want to make a change. And it's inevitable because it happened to me before. It's happened on different occasions when I needed to make a U-turn in other areas of my life. So I want you to understand that that fear is inevitable, but it doesn't always mean that you did something wrong. It can just be the way or the route that God is taking you through is for him to display his divine strategy for getting you to your promised land. Okay? And then we say you got to press the gas. And what's the fourth one, y'all? Let me see what the chat is saying. All right. Make the full U-turn. We're not looking back. We're not being like Lot's wife and turning into a pillar of salt. All right. Everybody with me? All right. Let me keep those heart emojis going. All right. So now I want you to be able to understand clearly what a U-turn is. And I know I'm using a play on words for YOU. As I told you earlier, it deals with you. We're taking everybody else out of the equation and we're becoming the main person on stage, right? So when we're making these U-turns, I know that they're difficult. These are moments of significant change in our lives, or as well as redirection. So you might be having a change in the way you handle your kids, a parenting change. It might be a change in your marriage, or it just might be a physical change within you, your emotional health, your mental health, or you might just be redirecting altogether, right? So I want you to understand that I have made these necessary U-turns before in my life too. And I know that they can be difficult. I know they can be daunting, but they are the changes that I have made that have led me to personal growth. And who doesn't want to grow, right? Because remember what we said, that growth will lead us to a place where we can seize those opportunities that we never would have if we had not made that change. All right. So I want everybody to stay committed tonight. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay, so right now it's time for us to just do a little bit of reflection. I'm going to allow you some thinking time because tonight is all about our journey and it's all about us getting to the places that we need to get to. So I'm going to just share a little bit about my journey because I want you to understand tonight the importance of you no longer compromising your values, your vision, or your voice. So, just a little bit about me, my journey into entrepreneurship. It was a necessary U turn for me, and it was a recent U turn for me. And so, what I'm asking you tonight to do is to reflect on some places in your life that you need to ask some questions. You need to ask yourself some questions. And as mentioned about the necessary U turn that I was making in my professional life to become a full on entrepreneur, I had to ask myself some questions as well. The same questions that I'm asking you, I sat in that same seat before. And, you may be feeling afraid. I felt afraid. And for one, I was afraid of the unknown. You all know how sometimes we just want to control some things. We want to know what's going to happen before we even take the steps. But always that's not possible, is it? No, I see y'all in the chat. It's not possible. So that's something that I had to overcome. I had to overcome that fear of just the unknown. But I also had to overcome some fear of disappointing some people. And I know that that's difficult too. And if I have any women out here that's married or that are mothers, sometimes you feel like you might be letting your spouse down or you might be letting your children down. Whoever it is, I'm here to say to you tonight, you have to make the necessary U turns in order to get to the place where you're going to be fulfilled. Your family is going to be even more fulfilled because you are. So you got to get over that fear. You got to keep moving and get over that fear. And I want to also say I felt a little frustrated. So you might be in that place tonight where you feel frustrated because if I really thought about it, I said I probably should have made this U-turn before now. And you all know that when you feel like you should have done something before you started to do it, man, you can get really, really frustrated with yourself. But I want us to know tonight that push those pushes that we get within our spirits, within our hearts, letting us know that it's time to do something different. It's time to go to the next level. Like, I want to help you to not ignore those tonight. I want you to stay focused and I want you to really press in and say, I'm really going to do this thing. And then, I guess the last emotion that I would say that I felt in my journey to entrepreneurship and leaving my job was just I felt sad because honestly, I really enjoyed the people. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed serving the people. But it was just time for me to serve in a different capacity. And I started living a more fulfilled life after I made that necessary U turn. And I can say, not only is it a fulfilled life, but for me, it's a life of peace and it's a life about movement. I'm always, here and there and I'm doing different things, but I really am enjoying my life. And I've never felt more grateful. I've never felt more thankful. And I'm just excited about life. And so tonight, that's what I want to do for you. I want to get you to a place where you can say, I'm more thankful. I'm grateful. I'm excited about life. And so that's what these reflection questions are all about. These are the same questions, as I've said, I had to ask myself. So I see some people putting some things in the chat. They're telling me where they are in this season. Some people are saying in the chat, what is that? They're in a season of navigating a different type of relationship with their mother. Wow, that's really, really good. Because again, if you go back to the first step, that I asked you. I said, who's driving your car? Right? And it could be a family member that's actually driving your car. And you need to say, you know what? I got to take back control and I got to get back into this driver's seat. And I don't really want to wait to do that for next year. I want to start tonight. And so that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. Who else is, let me see. Oh, okay. The second question was think about what you really want this season to look like for you. And that is a question that I had to ask myself because remember, I said that I really did enjoy serving where I was working at. I really enjoyed that. And so it was kind of difficult because I'm like, I really enjoy these people and they seem to be grateful. But I knew that God was leading me to a different direction because he wanted me to do it in a different capacity. And so what that season for me really felt like, I felt like it looked, I mean, what I really wanted it to look like was me being able to help more people. That's what it looked like for me. And the way that I was helping people in the at the capacity that I was helping people in my last job, I was impacting lives, but not to the degree that I am now. And so maybe that's a place that you can start with. Yeah. And then I want you to think about and think long and hard. What would bring you joy or the most fulfillment? And what would allow you to exercise your voice? Y'all know I'm about the voice and the values. And what would allow you to exercise your values? All right, keep it coming in the chat. Keep it coming in the chat. But I just stay there, and I will get to them in just a second. But I want you to just keep asking yourselves the hard questions, but not only asking yourself those questions. I had to answer those questions. And when I answered those questions, that actually gave me the push to press the gas and to make that full U-turn and not to look back. So you're going to have to stay committed to yourself in the process of asking the questions and answering them. Okay. All right. So let this what Monday, this past Tuesday, and this past Wednesday on my YouTube channel. So for the last 3 days, I had a conversation about navigating necessary U-turns, and all of those conversations were really setting the tone for this masterclass tonight and the order for which I wanted you to see yourselves. So one night we were talking about navigating necessary U-turns for aging with grace. So I wanted you to start picturing and imagining your future self and what are some changes that I needed to do to make in order for me to see myself, my future self, as healthy as possible, as optimal as possible. So again, I want you to think about your future self as we continue to go on through tonight's presentation. The second conversation that I had, it was about navigating necessary U-turns as a professional in leadership. And that's about your present self, the things that you are doing that are contributing to who you are now that will benefit your future self. But let's be clear, I do want to say that professional, that's relative, right? It's relative to how you do what you do. So it's just the adjective on your leadership. So for me in my house, like I'm an entrepreneur and I work from home. And so for me, I'm also a mother. I'm also a wife. And so what I do in my home is I call myself the CMO. I'm the Chief Morale Officer. So it's my job and I take it really seriously. I'm a professional about being the CMO. I take it really serious to really just kind of check the atmosphere in my kids' life, in my spouse's life, in my husband's life. I want to know, like, how are you really doing? Not just, the surface stuff. And so I kind of sometimes have to investigate. I have to really be observant. I pay attention to a lot of things that are going on around them, things that they are saying to me, things that they don't share with me, because I am a professional CMO. I'm the Chief Morale Officer in my home. And so, you may be a stay at home mom, and I know I got some stay at home moms in the chat right now. And I want you to understand that professional leadership is leading your family. It's leading your friend, your relationships. So it's not just about being outside the home and in corporate America, but you can be a professional anywhere you go at any job that you do. Um, Also, so you all have heard this phrase, begin with the end in mind. And so, as I told you about all of those conversations that I've had all this week, and they have been some rich conversations, it was really me beginning with the end in mind. I wanted you to be able to picture your future self, your present self. And then the last conversation was the conversation that we had about navigating necessary U turns as an alpha female. So that conversation was representing your past self. What mindsets, what negative ways of coping and habits do you have that you need to leave in the past and redefine or normalize operating in those gifts and those talents that have been really just lying dormant, right? And you're just afraid to make that U-turn. So I'm asking you tonight to begin to identify what is in the present that I need to make a U turn that will be helpful and beneficial to my future self, and what may be in my past that I actually need to either let go of or I need to actually bring it back to life and allow it to benefit my present as well as my future self. All right, I know we got a lot to think about. Keep it going in the chat. We got a lot to think about, but let's keep going. All right, so these are just some mindset questions about that you're going to ask for to help you get to the optimal future self. And you can see this picture here of these women, and they kind of seem like they're older women. That's really where I want you all to be. I want you to be in a space where you can picture your future self. What does your future self look like? Healthy, whole, happy, joyful, fulfilled, whatever the adjective is. I want you to start picturing that as you ask yourself these questions. Am I happy and fulfilled? Right? Am I Are my goals still relevant? Am I staying out of fear or comfort? Right? Because staying in our comfort zone, that really does prevent us from growing. And so I want you to be able to ask yourself these questions because they're going to be what will drive you to get to that future optimal self. Is my current path sustainable? Am I growing and learning? Am I staying true to my values? Okay, so these are the questions that we're going to ask ourselves tonight. And you can start answering if you want. You can start putting your answers in the chat. What's the mindset question that you're asking yourself that you really need to answer? Let's see. Let me see. Okay, what did Stacy say? I really should have worn my glasses. Are my goals still relevant? That's the question that I'm asking. So Stacy says she's asking herself right now, are my goals still relevant? That's a good question. That's a good place to start in, as far as real realizing, am I on the path to getting to where it is that I know I want to be and I know I should be, right? You need to be able to navigate these U-turns as a professional navigator. Okay, we're going to keep it moving. All right. Okay. So, what about my present self is sabotaging my future self? This is a question, y'all. This is a question that you need to really sit there and think about. It's important to recognize that personal growth, that's going to be a lifelong journey, and all of us face some obstacles along the way. I know that we do. And the key is really for us to be able to identify those hindrances along the journey and work on overcoming those, and really just being able to stay consistent and investing in yourselves for improvement. You can invest in yourself through seeking support. You might have a coach, you might have a therapist or a counselor, and you need to really set some realistic goals, because those goals that you set, as we talked about, getting in that driver's seat and being able to take that steering wheel and press the gas and make the full U-turn, that's really going to help us in developing our resilience, and that's going to contribute to the progress that we make along the path in order to become those best versions of yourself. So I want you to say, put in the chat if you feel comfortable. What about my present self is sabotaging my future self? Because remember, that future self that's where we want to be. And we would, like, I imagine myself, taking care of my great great grandchildren, running around with them still. I talk to my daughters sometimes and they'll say, well, when you get old, and I'm like, I'm not getting old. I'm just aging and I'm still going to be energetic. So it's important. Again, I want you to keep in mind, what's the picture of your future self? What does she look like? How energetic is she? How does she move? How does she talk? What does she eat? Right? So that's important. All right. So what is sabotaging your future self? So let's see. Let me read a few questions that I have on here. What could be sabotaging my future self? Do you really, I can't even see my screen, y'all. Hold on. Do you have a fear of failure? Let me tell y'all, fear of failure has been something that I've dealt with and I had to overcome. I had to overcome through prayer. I had to overcome through coaching, through therapy, so through counseling. And so I've had a fear of failure. There was a fear that I would fail in my entrepreneur journey, but I had to make the necessary U-turn. Lack of self-confidence. And really, if I go down the list, lack of self-confidence, perfectionism, majority of all of these have hit me at some phase of a necessary U-turn that I knew I had to make. Like, in some form or fashion, they would present themselves to me. And so I am just saying, you need to find whatever support that you need to help you get through the uncomfortableness, the fear, the perfectionism. Perfectionism is another one that's on the list that I also found myself dealing with, but I had to overcome it because it was necessary in order for me to get to where I am today. So whatever is on the list, if you feel, again, comfortable identifying what is sabotaging you from your future self, go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay. All right. I see perfectionism. I see fear. Someone said everything on this list they have been acquainted with. Wow. Wow. And being able to recognize those different things that are coming at you, honestly, is confirming who you really are, what it is that is on the inside of you, the capabilities that you have to be an amazing person that is so impactful and impactful at every level. That is just letting you know who you are when they come to you. When those things come, they're just spirits. They're just coming to you to remind you of who you are, and they want you to back down. But you got to say, God, I can do this thing. I need to be able to make this necessary U-turn in order to not just affect me, but to benefit my children, my spouse, all of those that are waiting on you. You got to be able to do it, right? You got to make that necessary U-turn. Okay, y'all, keep it coming in the chat. I'm watching my time though, but keep it coming. Okay, so sorry, y'all. All right. Now, the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to be able to say, what in the past am I allowing to haunt me? Right? So sometimes we can think about some regrets that we have in our past. You regretted making this decision, or you regretted making this choice, or you regretted being in this relationship. Those are things that we have to be able to recognize and identify. These are actually impeding my process on making the full U-turn. Maybe you started out making that U-turn, but you got stuck in the middle because of regret or missed opportunities. There have been times that I've missed some opportunities because I did not commit to the necessary U-turn that I needed to make in a previous season. and I couldn't seize that moment. I couldn't seize that opportunity. So I'm asking you tonight to be able to identify what in my past is haunting me from being able to make the necessary U-turn in order to really seize those opportunities, as well as some negative self-perception, trauma that's really really big. I know we hear all over social media, all over the TV, people are sharing their trauma stories. But again, tonight, I ask you to focus on you in such a way that it would allow you to really block out whoever has contributed to any trauma in your life, and you get into the driver's seat and say, no, trauma won't be the driver any longer. I'm not going to allow trauma to drive. I'm going to drive with this new mindset of understanding that I can make the full U turn, right? Because I got all of these gifts inside of me that God has given me to do exactly what it is that I need to do with impact, and with a positive impact, and with passion, and with love and joy. Comparing yourself to others can be haunting you, and it can be preventing you from making the necessary U-turn at this level of your life, as well as I mentioned a little bit before, those past relationships with the regrets. So I want you to sit and think, what in my past am I taking with me that's really just hindering this process? And we talked a little bit about that when in the conversation about navigating necessary U-turns as an alpha female, right? I talked to the audience about God being the lion and the lamb. He needed those characteristics in all of those characteristics that the Bible describes him as. A jealous God were those necessary characteristics that actually led him to the cross and helped him stay there so you and I could have eternal life. And so I'm asking you, are there some, just some characteristics that maybe I am not using them in the proper balance? Or maybe it's some dormant gifts. So what in your past is haunting you and not allowing you to live out your present and future self in the best way, in the best version of yourself? All right, y'all firing that chat up. I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Okay, so I want to say, let's get started. Are you ready to go on a journey? Are you ready to go on a transformative journey of self discovery, of empowerment, and one that will allow you to grow? Right? We want to grow, and we don't just want to grow, we want to thrive. We want to seize those opportunities, right? We want to be able to align our values and our goals with whoever else we're in relationship with, and we want to be able to embrace a fulfilling life. All right. So let's get started. Let's go. Welcome. Welcome to Woman 360, where focus leads to transformation. So, Woman 360 is my group coaching program, and it's just for women who understands that focus is required at every level of life to be able to live a free life, a fulfilled life, and a purpose-driven life. So, sounding good so far? Where focus leads to transformation? All right. So, who is Woman 360? Woman 360 empowers women of all ages. So it's a woman of whatever age group. It does not matter. It empowers women of all ages to reach their full potential, to elevate their lives, and to thrive in every dimension. So I told you earlier when we talked about the navigating those necessary U-turns as a professional and leadership, it's based on your perspective. Professional is relative. So wherever you are, working from home or in corporate America, Woman 360 is designed to help you to elevate your life and thrive in every dimension. All right. Any questions so far? All right, all right. So, what's inside of this coaching program? So, Woman 360 is a bi weekly meeting where we're going to be able to explore the dynamics of womanhood using the focus framework. This is my very own framework. So, we're going to use this framework, and it stands for faith, opportunities, character, uplifting, and serving. What else will you find in Woman 360? Accountability coaching. Because we got to make sure that you're making the full U turn. We don't want you to get stuck in the turn or stuck at the beginning. We want to make sure you become the full you that God has destined you to be at this level. Because we know that there are more and more and more levels to go before we leave this earth. Next, you're going to get interactive question and answer and discussion, a dynamic and diverse community of like minded women. Y'all, you can't, the community of Woman 360, you all here tonight that are waiting to invest. I just love it. You all have been asking me, when is it going to get started? When is it going to get started? And I've told a few of you all, but I'm so grateful that you're here tonight to invest in a community like that. That is a rich community. And then it's going to be a safe space for growth, right? We don't need to be in all environments growing, and every environment isn't healthy for us to grow in. But this, I guarantee you, is going to be a safe space in order for you to grow. And then the bonus will be master classes. You will get discounts on the master classes. That's what's inside Woman 360. So I know you're waiting. You want to know, how can I join Woman 360? It's just 3 simple steps. You're going to go to www.faithtofeet.com. You're going to click Woman 360 in the navigation bar or in the toolbar on the website. And then you're going to choose from one of 3 payment plans. So you have option 1, where you pay $47 a month for the membership. You're going to have option 2. Option 2 is you pay $50 a month for the membership, plus you get 50% off all master classes. And then option 3 is if you want to pay for the entire 12 months, the entire year, you will get your first month free plus 50% off all master classes. Now, this is going up on the website. Again, I've given you where you can find all of the information. If you have any questions, you can email me at info@faithtofeet.com. You can shoot me an email if you have any questions. But I'm looking to start the journey, and this journey will start in November. I'm looking to start the journey together with you. So we will be meeting the first and the third Tuesday of every month. First, third Tuesday of every month, beginning at 8 o'clock. And if the time needs to change, we may change that. But right now, we're starting to, it will start at 8 o'clock every first and third Tuesday. So when you will see this on the website, you'll have all the information. If you have any questions, you can email me. I really appreciated all your time. I appreciate your investment in you tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so she's going to put all the questions in the chat. Okay, let me see if there's any questions. November. So for the month of November, Woman 360 will begin in November. Remember, the first and the third Tuesday of every month. Yes, but we will start Tuesday the first Tuesday of November, and you can go ahead and sign up immediately. And so I'm going to put all of that information in the description box as well if you want to talk offline afterwards. Yes. All right. So I want to leave you with this quote. We cannot change the past. We can only take action in the present and therefore change the future. So remember when I talked about those 3 conversations that we were talking about, and navigating necessary U-turns, someone that is aging with grace, navigating those necessary U-turns for a professional in leadership, and navigating those necessary U-turn for someone that has struggled with being an alpha female. I want you to understand tonight that you are doing this investment is for your future self, for your present self, and for your past self, not to hunt your future self. Thank you all for listening. Have a good night. Thank y'all.